what's up? Welcome back to our podcast. I'm Trisha.
I'm Mahea.
And this is Develop With Me. In the previous episode, it was only me, and now Mahea's back.
Yes.
Yay.
Hello.
If you're tuning in through the podcast for the first time, then welcome. I hope you consider listening to the previous episodes and staying tuned for more. And if you're tuning in through the YouTube channel, I consider subscribing, checking out the other content, and looking forward to more stuff in the future. What we wanted to talk about in today's episode is kind of like about the sort of concept of faith and everything that kind of entails in that. I think the word faith is a very broad, very vague word, but could be talked about in various different ways and could apply to various different things. By the time this podcast gets up, I would have posted a video before this, of us going to Starbucks. If you're tuning into the YouTube channel, you may have seen us. We went to Starbucks the other day. It was mainly so that the both of us could try new things. Because I've always been, like I said in that video, I've always kind of gotten just one or two things from there, and I never really venture off into other things. So I thought it'd be fun if we did that video where we're kind of just trying new drinks. And
I think a lot of people can relate to having that one place they go to all the time, and we always have that one food or drink item that we always get all the time, and because we like it, we get afraid to try different things because we're like, oh, what if it's not good as what I usually get? But when me and Trisha went to do that, we actually found a lot out of the 4 drinks that we bought that actually were pretty good, and we're like, wow, if we didn't try taking that step and trying something new on the menu, then we wouldn't have known that these drinks that we ordered were pretty good.
It was pretty cool. I've always like I said, I've always been I guess afraid to try new things. I was kind of grew up doing that. I was never really the type to I've always been a picky eater. I don't like a lot of things. I have set orders that I get at all the different places. And so it was fun to of course I was a little nervous and a little afraid, I'm gonna be spending money, and what if I don't like to drink? It's like stepping out of your comfort zone. It's when you step out of your comfort zone, people don't like doing it because you never know what's gonna happen. You don't have control over the situation.
It's like that saying, you never know till you try. You can only judge it so much based on what it looks like or maybe what it sounds like, but it isn't until you really try it then you'll really know what it's like.
I think it's it goes with you can only learn something when you actually experience it and go through it. You can only realize things theoretically to a certain degree, but you can't go beyond theoretical unless you actualize it and actually do it and actually try. And when we tried the drinks, I was like, oh, this is pretty good. I like this. I'm gonna get this from now on, maybe. And so it's we're opening up our horizons of tastes. Because there was a couple that you haven't tried, right?
Yeah, there was we ordered 4 total, and there's at least 2 out of the 4 that I haven't tried, which were actually pretty good. So
we I ordered 2 drinks that I've never tried, and then she ordered 2 drinks that you haven't tried. And then the 2 drinks that I haven't tried, you tried. So for me, it was basically all 4 drinks was new for me. So I got new drink recommendations. So it's cool. It's when it made me kind of realize more about how if you remain stuck in your ways, you can only enjoy up to that level, the things that you do. But if you're willing to open up your horizon and try new things and you know, get new drinks and, you know, try new foods, then it opens up the horizon for you to enjoy like on an even bigger scale and enjoy more in life instead of being stuck in like the little, like my little box.
Yeah, it's cool how it, you know, can't, or it doesn't have to only just apply to like food too, but it's like a concept that can go with anything else too in your life, like with hobbies as well. Like if you want to try something new or want to experience it, then yeah, trying it out and see if you really like it, and if it's something that maybe you find out that you're passionate towards, then yeah, this like concept can be applied to so many like aspects in our life.
Yeah, it's like it takes a level of faith to kind of like be willing to take the jump into doing something that you might not end up being good at, but you won't know until you try, like we said. In fact, like it's kind of funny, like people tell me I have like many talents and stuff. Like I dance, I play music, and one of the instruments that I've been playing a lot in the last few years is piano. It's like something that I guess I'm okay at when I play piano. But it's funny because like my parents, I had no interest in learning piano in the first place. My parents just bought me a keyboard for my 11th birthday and was like, here. And like I didn't ask for it or anything, they just bought it for me. And then like maybe like 8 months after they bought it for me for my birthday, I was like, might as well learn, might as well play since it's here already. And then like I learned Christmas songs, I would learn Yoruba songs. And it wasn't until I started playing for like our church that like I really like started like liking it, like playing the piano specifically. And you know, I guess I got pretty good at it over the years, but it's like I would have never, if my parents hadn't bought me that piano in the first place, I probably wouldn't have ever been interested in it. Because I always like the idea of playing piano is, I've always had this like image of like, you know, you have to learn from like a strict like piano teacher, private lessons, you have your fingers like set on a like in a certain way, and you have to play a very specific way. And I never really had interest in it, but because I was like willing to try it in the first place, I actually ended up really liking it. And yeah, that just came to mind just now as we were talking. And even with dance, I took a dance class in middle school, and before taking the class, I hated the idea of dancing. I was like terrified of I was required to take the class, and I was like terrified of the class. I do not want to learn how to dance. And I ended up like liking it. I ended up joining the dance assistant program, and then started taking other like types of dance classes, and it's like all these things that like I used to hate, and like now it's like been a big part of me.
Yeah.
Since then. So.
Yeah. Like having that willingness, I think, is so important. And it's not always going to be like where it's like something you thought maybe you didn't like and you end up liking it. But sometimes there's things where you think you like it, and then when you try it out, you actually don't really like fit you. Yeah, that happened to me with band actually. And when you were talking about middle school, I was like, yeah, I forgot what, I think it was maybe 7th grade, but I took like a year of band. I was like, it seems kind of like fun and cool. Like I always see like the band kids, and they're always like going to practice after school and carrying around their instruments. So I was like, why not? Let's try it. You know, like, yeah, it doesn't hurt to try and see, like maybe you might actually enjoy it. And then I was like, I was doing percussion in band, and at that time it was kind of overwhelming because percussion, it like focuses on a lot of different, like I didn't realize it it includes a lot of different instruments. Like there's drums, there's xylophone, there's cymbals, and I was like, okay, this is a lot. So like, yeah, I came to like realize maybe band isn't for me, but still like I don't regret like trying it out, because it was still a cool experience, and I was able to learn a bit about music too. So even though it was something that in the end didn't like work out, and I didn't continue to do it for years, but still I think just having that that faith or that boldness to try it is still like a good thing, because yeah, it doesn't hurt ever to have more experience in something. And yeah, but yeah, that's one thing that I thought I would like, but didn't really work out for me.
Yeah, I forgot you were in band.
Yeah, I forget sometimes too.
Yeah, like it's interesting. Like with faith, it's like there's like a level of fear that like, because we don't, like I said, because we don't know like the outcome, and because maybe we might not be in total control of the situation, because we don't know what would happen when we do it. It makes maybe people not want to, because even with like when it comes to like when people ask for Bible study, there's a sort of level of like, you know, what if I don't like this? This isn't something that I'm really into. And like, even if that's the case, if you take the leap of faith to join, you might end up, you know, gaining something from it. But because maybe people have like prefixed like conceptions of how those kind of things work, and like how like Bible studies like are usually run, people have those preconceived like notions of how it's going to be, and which makes them maybe like not want to do it. But I think even in those moments, if you take that leap of faith, you might end up really like gaining something from it. Yeah, I know when I was approached to Bible study, there's a hesitancy when that happens, because like you don't know whether you're gonna like it, you don't know if it's gonna be really your thing. But like I'm so glad that I took that I guess leap and jumped into it, because I ended up really, like the Bible study that we've talked about in the podcast in the last few episodes. You know, because because I was bold and because I was willing to be open-minded about it, I ended up really falling in love with it. So, yeah, it's like you never know. It's like
yeah. Like for me too, when I was introduced to Bible study, like I feel like if that opportunity was never presented to me, then I probably wouldn't have took like an interest into like wanting to learn it on my own. But because it was, I am glad that I decided to actually learn. And yeah, there's just so many good things that came out of it, and I was able to benefit so much. And just because, you know, like what Trisha said, we took that leap of faith and we were bold and we were willing, and we come to find out that, you know, so many things just from that one step that we took, even though it might have been scary and we were, you know, going to something we weren't really experienced with or don't know about. But yeah, it's just all about trying it out and seeing how much you'll end up liking it, or yeah, if it really fits you or not.
Yeah, like this week's the Sunday message we heard at our church talked about faith and how like God works upon those who are faithful, those who have that kind of absolute faith. God can really make miracles upon that foundation. And I feel like in a way I've never really been a person to have absolute faith, but I would like to be like reach that point where like, you know, no matter what happens, whatever like difficulties or hardships come, to have that absolute faith that things will work out according to like the best timing. I really like aspire to have that kind of level of faith, to have like difficult times or just like in any like point in your life, like life in general, especially now during this COVID time, there's been so much things going on that's like to have that absolute faith even in times like this, that things will work out according to the best, like will work out at the best, like when the time comes. I would like to be able to really have that kind of that level of faith to where like nothing will tear me down or turn me away from God. Because people often like turn away from God when things don't work out exactly how they want. But to have that faith where like even if things aren't working out right now, they will work out in the future, and to have the kind of strong belief that that will happen like that.
Yeah, for me, like the part that really stuck out to me and I always think about from this week's message especially is like as long as you have faith, like you can move mountains. And of course not literally, but like the things that seem impossible can be resolved or can be done if you have faith. And yeah, for me in the same way, like I also always want to have absolute faith, and then I think just never losing it but holding on to that faith is sometimes difficult for me, because yeah, it's like in life when things maybe aren't working out your way and it's just kind of getting thrown at you left and right, and then you're like in that moment where it's like, okay, is anything good ever gonna come or anything good ever gonna happen? But times like that is when you really shouldn't be discouraged or go off like a different path. But if you keep that faith, and especially faith towards God, then he'll definitely help you through those difficult times and help you fulfill the things that seem impossible possible. But yeah, that's something like even myself, I still try to work on and still try to better myself, like when things are hard, not being discouraged, but yeah, just holding on to that faith.
Yeah, I think definitely for me too, like I tend to get discouraged easily. I think I mentioned in the previous podcast about how I had a job interview and like 2 days later I didn't get it, and I remember feeling like really discouraged at that time. But I think this past week's message kind of gave me hope again that like, oh, if as long as you're as long as you don't go like, cause we heard a story of like one of our friends about how like her life was going like all these things were like happening in her life, but she had absolute faith that like God will that there's a will and that God will really take her out or like pull her out of the difficulties, and she was able to overcome all the things that she was going through. And I thought like hearing that story, especially with this week's message, like they kind of like were very in line with like the going in the same direction. That like even if life throws you like every like if even when like things are blocking you from all directions, but to have that kind of like faith that even if everything seems impossible, that things, when you have faith, then you can make the impossible possible. I think that's a really great point, that like when you have faith like the size of mustard seed, you can make impossible things happen. And like in reality, like when we think about it, like a mustard seed's like really, really small. It's a really small seed. So to have faith, like even to that degree, you can make impossible things happen. And it's just about like not giving up, but to keep moving forward. But the thing like with faith too, it's like oftentimes it's like seen as like, when you have faith, you're like waiting for the time, like for things to look up. You're not giving up, but you're like enduring, and it's like enduring and persevering. I also like I don't know, it seems like it's like a lot of waiting, but it's like when you have faith, it's not just a faith of waiting for the time to come, but it's also like faith where you keep working at it, you keep taking action, you keep doing something while you're waiting. And it's not just to wait like blindly, like just waiting for things to turn up, but it's also about you yourself doing your part to change the situation. And it's like you doing your part to kind of like you doing your part to raise the level, to do your responsibilities, to work hard, to achieve things. And then in the process of waiting, in the process of working, then things can turn up and things can happen, miracles can happen, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just gonna touch upon that too. Like with timing, like things may not always happen right away too. Like during the time when you're enduring, and maybe things might seem hard. It might take a while for it to, get back to that neutral state, or for it to get better. But then, as you said too, just like always keep working. Never, like, just because things is hard, you shouldn't drop everything and you shouldn't just stop. But if you keep trying and making progress, then you'll get closer to like fulfilling that or achieving that goal.
Yeah, I think it's like always like being a process. It's all part of like the process. I think like how this like whole channel is like about developing. It's about raising the level. It's about trying new things. It's about having faith that things will work out. As much as you do, and as much as effort as you put in, then that much more you can gain. I think we talked about that in a previous episode. That's like a past message. That like as much effort as you put in, you can gain. But it's also about having faith and enduring and not giving up. But being bold, and all of this kind of like connects with each other, which I think is really cool. Like all these topics.
Yeah, I think it's a good mentality to have of like not being like the same exact person as you were maybe like from the week before or even yesterday, but you always want to find some kind of change within you the next day, and therefore from there on about as long as you're doing better or you're improving in something, then that's good progress, and just keep at it.
I think this is a good time to kind of conclude this episode. I think we've talked about a lot when it comes to faith and like enduring and persevering and being open and trying new things, and just like opening the door of or letting God like guide you according to how He sees best. Because God really knows what's best for you, even if we don't know it ourselves. And to it's just about having that faith and really being people that can work together with God. I think too is a big thing that like in order for God to take us to the place where we can be like our most ideal selves, we have to be willing to work together with God to make that happen. And it's about having that faith in God that He will absolutely guide you to that place as much as you're willing to let Him.
We can like visualize faith as like the key, and then possibilities and opportunities is like the doors. And with faith, you can lead you to so many more possibilities.
Yeah. Okay, then. Well, I guess that's all we have for this episode. Thank you so much again for tuning in. I hope that everyone who listens was able to gain something, realize something. Maybe you're filled with a desire to take that leap of faith. If anyone's ever interested in any Bible study, you can always contact us through the email, which is my name, Trisha, TRYCIAKALEO @gmail.com, which will be the official email for this podcast. Or you can always comment on the video if you're watching YouTube. Comment. If you have the Instagram, you can follow the Instagram and DM us there. These are all the ways to contact us. But other than that, I hope you tune in for the future episodes, and we'll see you then. Have a good night, or a good day, or a good afternoon.